Let's get our session started, everyone. I would really like to introduce to you Dr. Kathleen Greiner. She's the director for the Center of Entrepreneurship at North Orange County Community College District and a good friend of mine. And my new good friend, Kenny Turner, who is the director for National Post-Secondary Programs at NIFTY, which is the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. So we're going to have Kathleen take it away.
Thank you, Jen. We are longtime friends, which is always fun. So this will be a good session. So hi, everybody. I think all four of you out there, five now, I can see you there. So we're going to play a big game this afternoon. No, I'm just teasing you. I was going to say something like, we could get all of our steps in today if we start now and just circumnavigate this room. We'll get 10,000 steps in within the hour. But in the meantime, we're going to have, I hope, just a conversation. And I'm kind of happy today that I get to talk about something that's just a little new. We've heard maybe a couple of themes during the conference that, we're trying to always do something new with our students, maybe with our communities. And I loved that we started out this morning with a focus on community engagement, which is at the heart of this presentation. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this. So the mission of our really cool new center is to really focus on social entrepreneurship as well as community engagement. We have a collaborative grant that involves 14 public-private partners. And my daily focus, three of those are public, Cal State Fullerton, our district, North Orange County Community College District. I'll talk a little bit about all this in more detail, as well as 12, I'll call them, nonprofits, social focus in the communities, economic development, employment skill development. So really across the board, I'll talk about them in a little bit too. But that people and organizations can make change big and small to make the planet better, a way of thinking. We focus on mindset, and mostly we really try to focus on what we do and not just hang around and do more talking. So in this theme of connections, community, and collaboration, the connections are with our 14 partners. We got a statewide grant, from our local state senator, Josh Newman. We did a pitch to him and talking about social entrepreneurship is an important theme. It can make a difference in our communities. And in North Orange County, it's talk about diversity. We've got all kinds of kind of unique, almost like a global set of partners that we work with, as well as communities that we represent. So I give Josh full credit to be open to I guess this could work. And of course, he asked for $16 million, and we got 8.5 about this time last year. Yeah, that'll keep us going for a couple years. And I think we're actually going to get the money this month. No, and I'm not kidding, really. But we've all been able to do the pay Peter and use Peter to pay Paul, in shifting internal funds to make access to those funds right now. But the $8.5 million, our district, it's been allocated across those 14 partners, roughly $4 million per year, with admin coming off the top. And our district got about $1 million, and Cal State Fullerton. So we got a good chunk of that because we have a big capacity. We already have courses in entrepreneurship. We have instructors. But mostly, we've got a built-in community of about 69,000 students. I'll talk about that in a few seconds here as well. Why is the community college? Why we were probably one of the most critical success factors in making the pitch to the legislature, and it's because we're in and of and around the community. Hence the name community college. Are most of you from California, so I don't have to make the community college pitch? Okay, but just real quickly, 116 colleges from throughout the state, and really with almost 2 million students had that opportunity to reach into each and every one of our communities across all of our regions. So that access that you see there, our focus on economic pathways, and that's the community colleges are where workforce, preparing for university, all of that comes together with our mission on general education, technical education, but also upskilling. So if you need to finish your CPA, come to us for those 30 hours. And, you're paying like $25 as opposed to doing, something online that could cost $5,000. So that's my pitch on the community college. We also have the opportunity to network our social entrepreneurship. When you look at our district, we have some 69,000 students. That's a lot of people, and each of them has families and connections as well. Cal State Fullerton, about 47,000 students. So we're really working in tandem. We're in a non-competitive environment, which is really great. Fullerton has a long-established Center for Entrepreneurship. Our center is very much in startup phase. We're one of only 3 out of that 116 community colleges where our community college is standing up a center for entrepreneurship. And so we're right in that, literally, in those growing pains of startup. We talk about regional capacity. We're focusing on grants. We've got a lot of grants in play. That's why we were able to use Peter to pay Paul in these early days. The district, of course, has a big footprint, and we have all kinds of outreach into our community as well. So here's just a snapshot of NOCCCD from last year at this time, adding up to about that 69,000 students. But you can just see, which I always think is interesting, the diversity in just our district alone. One of only 72 districts in California. But I always think what always stands out to me is just, 60% female, 40% male. And that is true across almost all of our colleges. And always fascinating when you think about where we are now. And this data has been pretty consistent for several years now, to have that 60-40 split. And then you look at the amazing diversity that we have across all of our ethnicity profiles as well. Largely Hispanic, and this very much replicates our partner institution, Cal State Fullerton, as well. So we focus on North Orange County. There's a whole bunch of acronyms there in the middle, but all of them, like Cielo, Advance OC, Mecca, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, all of these institutions and small nonprofits really are that kind of partner that can help us identify and get our fingers increasingly into the community. The purpose of this grant is to provide access and funds and really direct grants, not microloans, but direct grants as students come up through this pipeline of building a business, of taking an idea and potentially turning it into something. And we've offered a series of boot camps this spring, focusing on different populations, all while trying to build an understanding of what entrepreneurship is, to provide a safe place for people in our communities, certainly students, absolutely, but also community members. This is not just for students. Our opportunities and the money is available for training across the board in all of our communities. So the focus on, like I said, social entrepreneurship, bringing that all together. So our center does focus with ideas and define that safe space, because we have both students as well as community members who think, I really thought about starting, and I'm going to use some examples from the last 3 boot camps. We did a New Ventures boot camp in January. We did one focused on military connected to veterans in February. We just finished one last week on culinary and hospitality. And the one coming up this week is on technical education, specifically auto technicians, collision, as well as air conditioning. Students, people, community members who are in that industry right now or who are in the classroom. But we focus on their ideas. And so I think back about, to some of our students who are like, I've been thinking about starting a cookie company. And last week, one of the people who pitched and is well on her way, she's in production right now, but she is producing a high-fiber cookie. The name of her company right now is Gotta Go. She's thinking about reframing that. That was one of the things that we all worked on. But Gotta Go's working for right now in every way. So her focus has been on, hey, she's a mom, and works with daycare centers right now with her high fiber cookies. And during our pitch time where we're talking about things, much more talking than pitching. There's so many other populations, especially, let's say, senior citizens. So, she and her business partner, who is her mother, we sampled those her cookies, but I'm using her as an example, Rachel, as an example that she's not at our college. She heard about it about this opportunity for this culinary boot camp from the kind of information that we extend throughout the community, and more importantly, she is going to get funding. She's already in the Cal State University incubator, and that's $5,000 right off the bat of a grant, not a loan. So we bring together any idea is on the table, hence the doing things a little bit differently. You've heard me talk just a little bit about people, profit, and planet, and we really try to emphasize that when we're making this information known in outreach across the community, in economic equity and environment. Social entrepreneurship, I think, is coming into its own, and certainly in a unique way. I talked about our collaboration, and the purpose, when we pitched this to Senator Newman, it was to build a scalable social enterprise ecosystem in North Orange County and then create these pathways. I've talked a little bit about that using boot camp as an example. Starting with that idea, maybe taking that idea to the next level and continuing to move forward. We had think sessions in the fall, like what would you want if you could start your own center? What does entrepreneurship mean to you? And we had 3 think sessions and about 60 people overall, from 17-year-olds to 70-year-olds. And mostly we came up with doing, as is noted before, doing things a little bit differently. And we talked about these as examples of how, hey, everything old can be new again, including cookies. Don't follow your passion only, but fix problems. And so that has become an area that we start off right away with each of our participants, not just students, but community participants. This is just a little bit of an overview of Orange County, so you have an idea of just the breadth and how big this is. If it was a standalone economy, it's like the 27th in the world right now. So a lot of stuff going on in Orange County. These are the areas that we're focusing on at the center: entrepreneurship training, employment skills, mentors. We've got an incredible amount of practitioner groups that we can draw on. For example, in the Ottawa one coming up this week, we're going to be talking with shop owners, a race car driver, a car dealer, and bringing all those kinds of skills right to the table for each of our students. Engaging a wide variety of community members, including faculty, students, and alum, and then having really strong, drilled down emphasis on legal, on patent filing, on intellectual property, business training, and so forth. So I'm not going to drill down too much more in social entrepreneurship. We've heard a little bit about that over the last few days: profit and purpose, emphasizing social innovation. And interestingly, almost all of the participants at our boot camps come with this emphasis already built into the idea that they have in mind. Talk a little bit about specific examples. Why is social entrepreneurship reaching kind of an important point right now? It's because consumers are demanding it. And then finally, community. The purpose of this collaborative is to make stuff easier, things easier for community members. Rachel and her cookie company, Marta and her tamales. We had one gentleman, I think that was in the first one, who works on Corvettes out of his garage, how to continue to capitalize on that. So we're just really collecting some amazing stories and reducing barriers as we go along. You'll see that that focus on stories right there. And of course, the more stories, the more emphasis, the more use of funds in our community to make a difference. We're, of course, going to be pitching the legislature again, and this is really built upon a model, as I close out, that's already in place in Canada. Canada spends almost $1 billion on their social entrepreneurship initiative. You might even know more about that. And this model is just a microcosm of what we hope to use as a blueprint in North Orange County, and then probably scale across the rest of the state as we go forward. I think that's it. Do it now. It's a terrible thing in life to wait until you're ready. Actually, no one is ever ready to do anything. So basically, we always try to tell all of our participants, just get going, just start. I think we all do that. And then here's some next steps, and look forward to any comments or questions and connecting with you as we go forward. So thanks a lot.
Round of applause for Kathleen. She's amazing. We've been partnering for the last couple of years. Saida, it's been awesome partnering with you. And some of the gifts I have today to give to you, Kathleen gave to me. So, so I'm going to hand that over in just a sec. But my name is Kenny Turner. I'm with an organization called the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, NIFTY for short. Maybe about, and you can go to nifty.com to look at it more. To find out more about NIFTY, nfte.com. I got about 4 things, by the way, I'm going to hand to you today. Some free resources, two around research, and the other 2 is around like curriculum, curriculum development and curriculum support, if you find it helpful for you. And I'd love to stay in touch with you as well. But NIFTY started a little over 36 years ago. I'm just going to go over a little bit what NIFTY is. But I got a tool I want to actually, you're going to need your phones or laptops for. You can totally use it. And partner with somebody since we're a small group. And then I got some ideas on how you can engage your community and other educational partners as well, from K through 12 to colleges. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing there as well. And also what we're doing here with San Diego State University on Cinco de Mayo. So I'll let you guys know about that. But NIFTY, check it out. It's a much longer story, but long story short, our founder, Steve Mariotti, around early 1980s, he was jogging in New York City. When he moved from Flint, Michigan. Anybody from Flint, Michigan? Got you, I know. So he moved from Flint, came to New York City in the early 80s and was jogging. And while he was jogging, he got beat up. He got jumped. So not fun at all if you ever got jumped, not a cool thing. And if you ever meet Steve, you don't need to jump him to get whatever he got. All it takes is one, But he got jumped, and he was in finance, and he was in import-export shoe business. And while he was, while he had that experience, and they took $4 from him that day, the individuals that took that money from him were black and brown. Steve is not black and brown. He's a Caucasian man, and he had an epiphany that day. And that moment changed his whole career. And he created this organization based off that trauma moment. And so he went to see a therapist, and the therapist said, hey, why don't you go find out what's going, some of your questions that you have as to why those young people would take that risk. Why would they actually, present themselves in a situation that could get them incarcerated? Why would they do that? So Steve, he kept this business, but he went into education, and he started entrepreneurship in the education system in New York in the early 80s when there was no entrepreneurship courses, et cetera. And he introduced these concepts to communities that were disadvantaged, underrepresented, so that they could have an option, or know that there's an option to earn money on your own if you don't find relevancy of what's being taught in the classroom. And so since then, again, much longer story, you can follow Steve on LinkedIn. He's got about 20 plus books now, and et cetera. So you can find out more. But this is where we've at since we started, since Steve did all that in Brooklyn and Bronx, New York City in the early 80s. We're actually in over 20-something countries now, and this is where we're at nationally as well. We're in about close to 30 cities now, et cetera. We really hinge a lot of what we do on the entrepreneurial mindset. And so whether someone starts a business or goes into the world of work, as you all preaching to the choir, we really hinge on this 8 domains that we've recognized as key domains for success as an entrepreneur. You can also get this for free on our website, nifty.com. You can find these 8. But also, you can scan this. You won't find this on our website. This is an assessment. We give this assessment out. You can check it out. We've updated it slightly, but you can get a gist of what the assessment does. Once you complete it, it gives you your top 3 domains from this assessment, and how to utilize that in your world, and how young people or college students can use it. It's best if you do it twice, but if you did it once, you can get some epiphanies from it, and it's a great way to kind of introduce this topic of entrepreneurial mindset. It's talked about a lot. It's embedded a lot. It's integrated in a lot of things. So feel free to check it out. Wrapping up on my intro to Nifty, but this is all that we do. I'm going to focus. We have a college program and a post-secondary program called Start It Up. I'll give you a little bit, not too much, just in terms of what, if you want more information on it, I'll give you more. We can follow up. But these are all the things we do. We got about 10 programs. We go from young to older. We also work with the community and workforce programs and business entrepreneurship programs as well. And we do certifications. You can scan that and see. This is a certification we created with the, it's called the ESB. Does anybody use certification in your college courses, or is that important at all to get students certified, or at least give an option to do that? So we partner with Certiport. It's an actual entrepreneurship and small business certification. It's nationally recognized. We didn't create it on our own. We co-created it with Certiport. Certiport is an umbrella of Pearson. And so this is offered all over the country, actually globally. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. And we put all our curriculum. We were in the textbook, producing business for a long time until right before the pandemic, we went digital, and good thing we did. So we have all our stuff on LMS. We use Canvas. And these are all our supporters that help us with our ecosystem. We believe in not just giving curriculum, but also giving ecosystem and connection for students. So after they take that course, they have an opportunity for internship. So they have an opportunity to actually go and activate those business ideas. We get a ton of resources on all levels from these organizations and a lot more that help us to create kind of like that full circle moment for our students. So real quick, this is this is for free. If you guys can do me a favor and go to this website real quick, this is something we do every year, and it's tied to social entrepreneurship. And so if you go to innovation.nifty.com, if you guys don't mind, you can use your phone and do it, innovation.nifty.com. And I'm going to ask you, if you can, partner, at least you can partner with multiple people. But just don't be by yourself if you can help it. And I would love for you to go on that site. It's something we do every year. It's called the World Series of Innovation. We partner with 10 organizations. They allow us they create these challenges along with us. You'll see organizations like Bank of the West and Ernst & Young, at MetLife, et cetera. And they want to solve these ecological, social, issues going on in the world that are tied to the 17 SDGs, right? And so we do this competition global. We just ended it, but the website stays active all year. We have a lot of instructors and professors that use it for learning tools that you can continue to use all year. And you can actually submit into it going into next year. There's no cost. It's just if your students create something, they can do it. So I want you guys just to kind of feel this out a little bit. So if you guys don't mind, I got a few minutes. I know I got a timekeeper somewhere. I think I got like 8 minutes left, 7 minutes or something like that. So we'll do this in like 2 minutes. Do you mind going on that site? And if you could choose one problem that you're most interested in, go for it. And you can huddle with somebody at the table maybe, and just choose one. You got 2 minutes. I know this is fast. 2 minutes. What are the problems you see? It's about 10 of them there. Choose one. One of those problems for me. One problem. Which one's standing out to you? That's yours to keep, by the way, if you want it. If you want it. You can replicate. I got my extra here, too, so. All right, time. All right, so this is just to get an idea, right? So real quick, which one stood out to you out of these 10 that are shuffling a little bit? Anybody want to say which one, like the freshwater challenge? All right. And if you notice, too, on the site, you can go get resources like where do I go to find research and things like that to deepen the experience if you want. What did you guys choose for? What problem stood out for you guys on the site? The future of work. Yeah, that's a big one. City, right? I think City did that one. Right, absolutely. So every year these change. But the theme stays the same, right? And so what you have in front of you, an extension of what we normally do, we normally would take, those are lean canvases. This is a great activity to do, in small groups. And they can actually submit in the fall if they really want to, submit for the competition. But we would take these stickies and, fill in the lean canvas as solutions to one of these problems. And actually on Cinco de Mayo, we're coming here. We're going to be working with about almost 40 students 19 from the CEEC College in Mexico. About 21 high school students are going to come together and work on this, but they're going to create apps as their solution. So if you don't have the app thing down, you can use something simple like the Lean Canvas. I've got extra of those, and that's thanks to Kathleen. I have those, by the way. She had those made, her and her team, and gave it. I've been giving them out. This is my last batch. I've been giving them out at conferences. So, so just to close this out, really quickly, this is on the YouTube. When you click, you can see who the winners were this year for each category. But also, these are nice 1-minute pitches of kind of all age. It goes up to age 24. So you can go on here and kind of, if you want to use that for your class, just to give examples of 1-minute pitches on business ideas. If your students, that's a requirement in your course where students have to create business ideas, you can go here and just have them listen to pitches. I know we go to Shark Tank a lot, but these young people are around the same age vicinity of the young people you work with. I think it's really impactful, and we got a lot more on our YouTube, the Nifty YouTube channel that you could take advantage of too. So transitioning back real quick, just to wrap up. How much time I got? Sorry. All right, 3 minutes. This 3-minute pitch right here. There we go. So that's it. We really focus on a lean startup model in everything we do at Nifty. And so that's just one of the activities that we offer to the community that you can, for sure take advantage of. But just really quickly, our programming, the way we've kind of engaged with post-secondary institutions. We've got a few ideas we're just gonna share, some things that we're doing around non-traditional approaches to create community engagement. I love the opening speaker today, because he was talking about, taking your education, strategy outside and doing more of this engagement. And so we kind of loved, that's kind of one of the reasons why we exist. We give content, we have a ton of stuff, but I think what we really do well is engage those partners that you saw on the screen with education institutions and the community. We help to bring everybody together. So if you're at capacity and you just want to you want a thought partner, call me, just for thought partnership. Let's talk. But here's a few things that we're doing. College of Southern Nevada, just to give you a little bit there. We partnered with them, but they did something really unique. They partnered with their local government as a college and got a grant from the local government, maybe similar to what you're doing, Kathleen, right? Local government engagement is a question you kind of walk away with, how could I better engage my local municipality so it can impact the work I'm doing at the college? And so they got a grant, which created an opportunity for us to work together to revitalize entrepreneurs in Las Vegas because of this grant. And we came in with what we do, they do what they do, and we collaborate. And we've been collaborating for the last year and change. Another thing we do to engage the community, this is a couple samples here. El Camino College here in LA and Nicollet College in Wisconsin created what's called a speaker series. Speaker series is basically, we got together, again, free resources for the community, sponsored by the college. We come together and we get these, brilliant minds. In fact, my introduction to El Camino came through Kathleen. You talk, Kathleen. Don't leave it as Kathleen and her team made an introduction to El Camino, and we launched this speaker series. We had a lot more. I would say we did, over the pandemic and over the last couple of years, probably did close to 30 coordinated these guest speaking opportunities, from AI, which I'm blown away by. If you haven't done ChatGPT, oh my gosh, to Bitcoin, to a lot of different things. I'll skip this. This is more like what we do with workforce development. I know my time is up, but we also do that as well. We partner with these organizations. We're doing something right now with the city of Los Angeles. We think small is too big. Everybody talks about small business. We want to go even below micro. We want to go individuals, general contractors, folks that are doing side hustles, and they're not gonna be approved for an SBA loan. Like we go to like these small business resource centers and it's like, hey, this is what you need to do for an SBA loan. They're like levels away from SBA loan. So we're partnering with organizations to help us like reach the least of these in the community to get those who like really have like individuals. And I got like 5 seconds. So University of Arizona, we partner with them. They were called a mindset partner. They engage their entrepreneurs in Arizona around that assessment I showed you earlier around entrepreneurial mindset, measuring that mindset and how it impacts the entrepreneurs they're working with. And then lastly is what we're doing here at San Diego State University on Cinco de Mayo. We're going to be working with, as I mentioned, almost 40 students doing this challenge and, using technology as well. To close out really quickly, you have this right here. How do we know all this works? We came out with a trends report earlier this year. You can scan and get the report for free. But the trends report kind of gave us 5 key trends from all the entrepreneurs that we've helped over the years. We've been around 36 years. Our gala's coming up in New York. Join me if you want. We're measuring and little by little to see if this is working over time. Here's some of the things that we came up with. And I'll leave it there. And this is me. If you want to stay in touch, or you can email me directly. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you both. That was really great. The reason they have to wrap up so quickly is so you can ask all your great questions. So who has a question for our speakers?
I really love your focus on side hustles and micro businesses and the gig economy and everything that's happening there. Are you doing anything to document different types of businesses that could be done by people in different geographies? So let's say there's a Uber driver that's working here that's now got a fleet of Ubers that they're developing in San Diego, and someone in Des Moines wants to implement something like that. Do you have a database like that for those types of opportunities?
Not yet, but it is on the horizon to do more research around that level of entrepreneurship. Like in LA, they realized that there's about 500,000 individuals like that even despite all the 10 resource centers they have, the connection to SBDC, SBA, et cetera, the chambers of commerce, that group is being overlooked and not getting enough resources to them. So we're partnering with them to create some on-ramps for more around that. But that's
really glad you're doing it.
Yeah,
it's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
But related to that is a new bill that was just went into effect here in California in January. ABC, I think it's like 1660 or something like that. And it's directly related to what you're talking about, which is these micro businesses. It's related to the food business. You can start a cottage industry in your driveway, in your house. Now, as soon as it hits the end of the driveway and you're onto the street, then you're in a whole different ball game. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Like at our culinary boot camp, we talked a lot about that and how people can use opportunities to get something going and then start scaling. I mean, just the stories that people are telling about what is already underway just this year, because that bill recognized, it goes directly to what Kenny was saying. 500,000 people in LA. Let's just say it's 250,000 people in Orange County. There are a lot of people who are into that, what we call the gig or the side or whatever, and it is making a difference in the health of families, their economic development, and that's what it's all about for us, is the economic growth, stability, the rising tide type of mentality, and providing those opportunities. And I thought that was a great bill. There's no reason. We had tamales and these cool high fiber cookies last week at our boot camp. And we were able to do that because we didn't have to get a license and a health inspection and all those other things that are barriers to development. One more thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And talking with the city of LA, they told me twice this stat. They said, because they're fighting homelessness, they're trying to think about homeless prevention. And I asked them, I said, what's the income level or amount of money that if folks had more of in their household could take them off that brink of homelessness. They said $300 to $500 could do the world of good for a lot of households who are like right on the brink, like just no room. And so like a program like this, like focus on like individuals who already have those side hustles or thinking about it, just to elevate them, even just a little, could prevent so much, like could do so good, you know, so much good. So that's kind of where we landed. And we've been talking to other organizations like that too, so.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really great. I'm wondering if if Canadians can get access to that network as well, because I'm from Canada, so maybe I'll talk to you about that later. But kind of two things come to mind. So one is, as you take a look at serving these different streams of entrepreneurship, whether it's the micro entrepreneurs or in different industries, how much you might be differentiating content. We're developing a skilled trades entrepreneurship program and lab right now, and we're finding just the order that we do things and what we use and the terminology. So that's kind of part B. So number one is, do you differentiate for those different types of entrepreneurship? Number two is, we find that a lot of the terminology that we have, or that's become adopted from, from the tech area, like in the last session we were talking about MVPs and other things that we talk about, can be a real systemic barrier to entrepreneurs in marginalized communities or micro entrepreneurs, because it just goes like, why don't you just say what it is? You want me to do a mock-up, or you want me to create the thing that's not the thing yet? Then just say that. Don't talk to me about an MVP. And like why does it have to be, if we were in marketing, we would say, why are you using all the jargon? But in entrepreneurship, it's like, well, if you don't know what to call it, clearly you're not ready. And so it creates this whole sort of sense of exclusivity around it that can be a barrier to people when it's just, look, what are you creating? Does anybody want it? Who are you selling it to? That real layman's term. So I'm wondering if any of, I love the lean canvas, but is any of the terminology within entrepreneurship education become a barrier, and have you changed what you do as a result? Long questions, but. So
the first one, second one, I'll tackle that one first, but I haven't seen it directly, but indirectly, you know that it does. Because one of the challenges that I've had with Lean Canvas is the build, measure, learn strategy. And so it talks a lot about fail as much as possible and fail fast. Some of the folks we work with, like, there's no failing a lot of times. Like, it's like there's not a lot of room to fail 10 times. Some of them cannot afford to fail, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, like the Lean Canvas or the Lean methodology teaches. The resources that they've gathered to make that first MVP could be their could be the thing, So, like, how do we present it in a way that's a little bit more, like to your point, inclusive in that language? I think it's a constant challenge and fight. But the partners we partner with, I think we've learned a lot because they know what's happening on the ground deeply in their particular city or geography that they work with. So we've had to listen a lot, and to know that because we are a national and global organization, what's working in LA might look very different from Miami, or Wisconsin, right? And so we've had to partner and listen for that contextualization. I think that spills into question one: is how do we contextualize the experience, and that's difficult to do, like, for sure. But there's little things that can be done that helps us provide maybe some elements of change, maybe some additional. We have what's called a hub, and we actually create new experiences in that teacher hub, as that could help contextualize every partner's experience. So, but I think we come to the table with what we come with, but it really does take a lot of work to contextualize it for that community and giving them what they need specifically. So, that, I think that's where that work is not easy, but it is done. We're very conscious of how we work with our partners, for sure. I hope that helped, and answered a little bit.
Right. We have made changes in our boot camp because the primary presenter, and myself were like, this is not going to work if we are not in the community. I was talking about in, of, and by, and from, and all that with the community. And so we don't use like MVP. We just talk about, hey, where do you go maybe to raise the first $5,000 and talk about that very clearly and being ready and kicking the tires a lot on that idea. Talking to 100 people, and not just to your mom, and was really fun at our culinary thing. We had 2 sets of mom and kid, mom and a son and a mom and daughter. And we said, why? That's kind of interesting. Why in this particular sector? And you realize that there's so much experimentation going on that feedback, you need that immediate feedback. Well, what do you think of this? How does that taste? You can't wait, a week goes by, check it out, have some feedback, do something else. And so to your point, we have been evolving, and each time, hey, auto tech is very different than culinary. It depends on those professional experts or those mentors that we're able to get to the table, and they make the entire difference. Someone who started a food truck. I mean, he had lost his brick and mortar restaurant and was like, what am I going to do now? And one of his friends was, a great chef, and they came up with the idea of a Korean barbecue food truck. And it's the bomb. So things like that, exactly to your point, we have to be much more adaptive on the floor. Now, do we give out that cool book? Yes, we give it out every time. But it's just like, oh, wow, a book. We don't even really go through it other than, just kind of at a high level. So thanks.
Yeah. One quick thing. Actually, to speak to contextualization, we're working on something with the Science Center, and it's called the University Science Center in Philadelphia. They have several locations, actually. I think they're global, too. So they have a program that they're launching. It's basically, it was a program they want to launch for the community and the hoods of Philadelphia. And so we had this conversation the other day, and they kind of got the program off the ground. And when they were talking, the Science Center focuses on STEM entrepreneurs and supporting STEM entrepreneurs. So they adapted a program recently called I-Core. And I-Core is specifically to take, STEM learners in colleges and universities and transfer them, make them entrepreneurs, and give them the platform. It's funded by the National Science Foundation. So it's a really pretty big program. And so I said, that's, as she was talking, I was kind of like, is the hood of Philadelphia looking at the Science Center as a place to go for entrepreneurial support? And we had a great conversation about what they needed to do. And how, we're supporting them in that, but what they needed to do to, get the community ready to take advantage of some of those STEM or Tier 2, programs. They hadn't created anything for that on-ramp. I think that's what City of LA is saying is there need to be some more on-ramping and education around entrepreneurship for the general community for them to take advantage of what's available for them. Another gentleman, last thing is in Jersey/Philly, during the pandemic, there were, because of the, COVID and the stimulus money, they gave away thousands of dollars to entrepreneurs. This gentleman was, we're working with the African American Chambers of Commerce in Jersey, and they helped a ton of entrepreneurs. But what stood out to them most were the entrepreneurs that left a ton of money on the table. They were operating businesses. They were already in business, but they didn't know how to produce the basic formats or the tools needed to take advantage of the stimulus money that was initially a loan, which transferred into a grant. They couldn't produce the simple financial sheets, et cetera. And he said him and his team were blown away that here's these folks, they're already making money, creating sales. They didn't know how to, generate these items. So it taught him on-ramp. So I think across the board, it's just been, how do you, we're trying to answer that question. I think folks are live in the moment, trying to contextualize it for their communities. So